Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So today we have another round of Assassin's Creed Shadows drama because Ubisoft can't stop catching L's with this game. A game that they promoted to their own investors as something that will succeed because it is highly praised by players and critics alike, which of course is a lie because the reaction of players to this game has been extremely negative, whether it's the review bombing on the trailers or the recent merch scandal where Ubisoft was trying to basically promote Assassin's Creed Shadows merchandise that they simply bought from Amazon and repurposed for their merchandise, or the Japanese petition against this game that has nearly 100,000 signatures, or the fact that Japanese government officials and politicians have been getting involved in this situation, on top of the revolving door of quote-unquote historians who have been disgraced in their attempt to claim that Yasuke is a samurai, which the entire game is based on. Well, recently, Assassin's Creed Shadows would make a formal statement. We covered this in a video 2 days ago. They had a message, particularly for their Japanese community, that is extremely upset about what this game is trying to do. In fact, one section of their statement specifically covered their authenticity efforts, because some people are debating whether or not this game is actually trying to rewrite history or make historical claims based on Yasuke and whether he's a samurai or not. And they said this: "We have put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. However, our intention has never been to present any of our Assassin's Creed games, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, as factual representations of history or historical characters." So that turned out to be a lie, which probably shouldn't shock you at all. So if you look at this proposed community note under the Japanese version of their tweet, you can see multiple articles being linked that show members of Ubisoft making promises that this game would be historically accurate. So we have an article from Famitsu here where they're interviewing the creative director, and he had this to say when he was asked this question: "Why did you split the main characters and fighting styles into two? Also, what kind of fighting actions can you experience as a ninja and as a samurai?" And down here, Jonathan would say this: "We wanted to make sure that this fantasy is undiluted as possible and as close to reality and expectations as possible." And in a separate interview here, another member of Ubisoft, Benoit here, was asked this question: settings like samurai and ninja are familiar to gamers, so how does the game differentiate its setting? Where he says this: "The game faithfully depicts real historical figures such as Oda Nobunaga and events of the time," which obviously, based on everything we've seen, they have been trying to push a very unsupported narrative that Yasuke is a samurai. That is the entire framework this game is based on, and they have claimed that they want to be historically accurate. And then in their apology that they made the other day, they claim the exact opposite, that they were never trying to be historically accurate, which, as we can see, they lied. And of course, when a woke game or development team gets caught in a lie and is facing fair criticism for their actions, what happens next? Well, the game's journalists come in to swoop up and try to save the day by deflecting all of the valid criticism and reducing it to things like racism. So here we have Ash, I believe she is with The Verge. She said this, quoting the original message from Assassin's Creed, saying, "Y'all can quibble about if he was a samurai or whose swords he was allowed to carry. He was there. Everything else should be allowed to be artistic license. None of this is about historical accuracy. You just hate black people and use Japanese folks as convenient shields." So first of all, you see how their claims have gone from, well, he's a samurai and you're just wrong. Now they're saying, well, he might not be a samurai because of all these historians getting disgraced who are trying to claim so, but you're just racist. That's why you're upset about seeing Yasuke in this game. It's not because of the historical inaccuracies and the fact that, quite literally, there is vandalism going across multiple websites like Wikipedia, for example, trying to now change the narrative that he was a samurai. Now you're just a racist for being upset about this. And notice how they're saying that Japanese people are being used as convenient shields. Well, as you can see, the majority of the outrage, despite everything games journalists will try to claim, the majority of the outrage is coming from Japanese gamers who who have finally had enough of this rewriting of their history. You can see the Japanese version of the Assassin's Creed post has way more negativity directed towards it. Almost 10,000 quotes, primarily of people who are upset about what's happening, and they're not buying this excuse from Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. However, Ash would continue in the replies and say this: "Let us also dispense with the pretense that Japanese society itself isn't in itself violently racist with its own form of ultra-conservative right-wing assholes that are more than happy to carry water for this cause." So in her claims that people are racist for complaining about Yasuke, she counters by calling Japanese people complaining about this game violently racist. Can we just reflect on that for a second? Now, of course, you also expect a great number of articles being produced. It is no shocker that a whole fleet of articles came out at the same time as soon as this announcement was made, and all of them are defending Assassin's Creed and criticizing people who are upset about what's happening with that game. You can see this one from The Gamer saying DEI is a code word and Ubisoft didn't need to respond. We'll see this narrative throughout many different articles where they say Ubisoft didn't need to respond. Yeah, what a weird world we live in where they're saying you don't need to respond to upset potential customers. That's crazy. But anyways, this article says this: "This began when people didn't like Yasuke because he was black." Another ridiculous dismissal of valid criticism against this game. "Whether this is truly racially motivated hate or too far gone obsession with labeling everything that doesn't look like you a DEI conspiracy, and really, what's the difference? Yasuke's skin color is the beginning and end. It has become wrapped up in a bigger crusade about whatever wrongs they think Sweet Baby Inc. has perpetuated against them, and the historical accuracy gives it an air of legitimacy. Now, Ubisoft has ratified that legitimacy." So they're saying here that DEI is now some sort of a code word. We've seen people claim that DEI is the new N-word. People are trying to basically victimize themselves for being called DEI hires or what have you. If you want to know how proud people are of DEI, just call someone who is a DEI hire, call them a DEI hire and see them get offended, because it's just a disgraceful term and a disgraceful effort that people who are not terminally online, super far left people are annoyed with. But anyways, we would see here Mark Kern reporting The Gamer joins in on slandering gamers and Japanese as racist, radicalized, and potentially violent. None of this is true. Where are the odds that IGN, PC Gamer, Kotaku, and The Gamer all post the same talking points within 24 hours of each other? Well, you got exactly what you predicted here, because we would see Inverse here making another pile of slop here saying Assassin's Creed developers didn't have to explain their game. Ubisoft just gave the worst people on the internet ammunition. Yeah, so they're now shaming Ubisoft for trying to clean up their own mess, and they're mad because they're explaining themselves to upset potential customers. What a world we live in. And also down here, they try to claim that this is some lightning rod. This whole situation is basically just a front where only people who are grifters are trying to get involved with this. They're the only ones who are outraged, and they're turning fake outrage into cash and content, basically dismissing the 100,000 signatures on the Japanese petition and all of the people, the thousands and thousands of people on social media complaining about this game. They're all just dismissed as a bunch of cash pursuing grifters. And of course, when you have bad journalism trying to protect this game and Ubisoft, you knew Kotaku was going to enter the fray, and you knew Alyssa Mercante would be a part of that. Originally, she had this to say, quoting the post from Assassin's Creed. She says, "Maybe just say, in quotes, your racist response to a video game is indicative of moral decay. Get bent," end quote, instead of this. You can, with everyone else, she is trying to dismiss everything as the act of racism, and there's no valid criticism. It's just people angry that there is a black character in this game. And of course, that dismisses all the genuine complaints from people on the Japanese side of Twitter. I mean, this is one of the largest replies to the Japanese post from Assassin's Creed, where it says this: I think the story about Yasuke should be considered fiction based on Yasuke. The issue of historical retelling is no longer a Ubi issue, but a Lockley issue. However, Yasuke is no longer the problem. The plagiarism of materials from manga, organizations, and cultural heritage sites, the misinterpretation of Japanese history, and the misinterpretation of Japanese as Chinese, among other things, show disregard for Japan. And yeah, there's so many layers of issues here that are upsetting gamers, in particular Japanese gamers, and it's all being boiled down to, well, people are racist and that's why they don't like this game. In fact, Alyssa would go on to make this stinker on Kotaku. You can see the title. This was never about anything other than hate. Movements for ethics in games journalism or against forced DEI in video games are diaphanous veils draped over bigotry. Wow, whole lot of word salad right there. But you can see this article was so bad that other people of the industry came forward to criticize it. We have a journalist from Forbes here, Eric Kane, who made this post in response saying, there are certainly hateful and bigoted people angry about Assassin's Creed Shadows, but Alyssa Mercante engages in such bad faith. Truth is, she relishes this shit. It's far easier to say it's all just hate than to bother with cumbersome nuance. And that is definitely right on the nose there. It's so much easier to just dismiss all valid criticism as the product of hate and racism than it is to actually look at the long number of valid complaints that people from all over the world have regarding this specific title. And on top of that, of course, when she is getting criticism, fair criticism, once again for her public posts and articles, Alyssa would turn all of her attention to who else but Mark Kern. For some reason, it's all going back to Mark Kern. You get called out by thousands of users, you get called out by other reporters, and the only person in her mind is once again Mark Kern. But anyways, I want to end with this tweet right here, which raises a very fair point about all this stuff involving Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft. This user says, the Assassin's Creed Yasuke dilemma is kind of funny to me because the same people who throw around words like cultural appropriation are now doing a 180 and defending a developer that actually appropriates and changes Japanese culture for sales. That is a very good point. You know, you see a lot of people, especially on the far left, and journalists as well, who always use the term cultural appropriation for just about anything, right? And here they are now telling Japanese gamers that they shouldn't be upset when a small number of disgraced historians are trying to literally rewrite their history. They're not allowed to call that out. They are told by these progressive people to basically just suck it up and deal with it, or they're labeled as violent racists, when in reality they normally always call everything cultural appropriation. Here is something that actually resembles it, and they deny it. It shows that they're just a bunch of hypocrites, but hey, that's obviously not too surprising. But for now, that is going to do it for the situation. That is the latest update on Assassin's Creed Shadows and Ubisoft. I'm sure there's going to be more updates in the days to come because those parties cannot stop posting L's, making mistakes, and lying to try to cover up any of the criticism that stems from that. But like I said, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.